All right, let's get, speaking of the Twitter machine, let us get into Impact.
Hogan and Sting had a meeting, said they would choose Sting's partner for the pay-per-view by the end of the show. We had Mr. Anderson versus Gunner. Anderson cut a promo saying he wanted to be picked. The announcers were talking about how horrible it would be if the Aces and Eights got full access to TNA. Yeah, they may like run around beating people up and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be awful. In hindsight,
if they got access, meaning if someone unlocks the door.
I don't know. I don't know and I don't care anymore. The highlight of the show happened during this match. The gimmick was, as noted, Sting was looking for a partner. So he said he's going to watch the entire show to see who showed him the most, who showed him they should be his partner. So they attempted to do a split screen with the match in one screen and Sting watching a monitor in the other. But they screwed it up, and we had 2 pictures of Sting watching a monitor. And
Live television, everybody.
I don't know why, but I laughed really hard at this. So Anderson won with a mic check. He beat Gunner, and then Kid Cash attacked him, and he got mic checked too. So Anderson had beaten 2 guys, and they cut back to Sting, and Sting didn't move at all. He may have been in a trance. Tara was talking to her boyfriend on the phone.
Sting probably saw on the screen that he was watching himself on a split screen on 2 sides.
He may have.
And was so baffled he was struck dumb.
Why are there 2 men who look just like me? Tara was trying to set up a double date with Gail and their respective men. Gail recently married the host of Restaurant Impossible. I don't know his name, but I've seen his show a couple times. And
Robert Irvine.
Sounds familiar. He would be funny on TNA. I endorse bringing Robert Irvine in for some skits.
And he'd be 50 pounds bigger than the heavyweight champion right now.
So more than that. Gail and Tara versus ODB and Tessmacher. The baby faces used their buttocks and vaginas as weapons. I am not making this up. So the heels were not getting along, and then Tara threw Gail into Brooke, and then she hit Brooke with a widow's peak and pinned her. And the story was not that Tara had beaten her arch enemy, who was the women's champion. The story was that Tara just kept talking about her new boyfriend. Al Snow and Bruce Pritchard looked over some paperwork.
That's what happened.
Then they went to commercial. Riveting television. Al came down to the ring. Taz declared that his jacket was worse than the jacket he wore last week. Now, you agreed with Taz,
I
didn't
did
you?
agree with Taz. This jacket Al was wearing was the ugliest sports jacket I have ever seen. Ever. Now, I realized last week's was rather gaudy, but it was a gaudy pattern on a fine jacket.
It was a gaudy pattern on a brown jacket.
This was just an ungodly, horrifically... It was not form-fitting.
No.
There was nothing good about this jacket.
This was...
literally not one single solitary thing good about this jacket.
I still maintain last week's was worse. That does not mean this week's was good. This was, as you noted, shapeless and ill-formed. And also, you can now see Al's bald spot through his hair. A rough night for Mr. Snow. So he called out Joey Ryan. Joey was booed. He demanded, not making this up, an apologement.
So he said.
We had to watch this twice. It was so funny.
I think that he said he wanted an apology, not from management.
Yes.
But he was thinking so many words ahead that he said that he wanted an apologement.
Yes. He was also wearing a t-shirt saying Legalize Sleeze. I'm fairly certain that sleaze is legal. Anyway, because Al had shoved him, or punched him or whatever, like 8 months ago, that has been. Because of this, and he had threatened to sue the company, the TNA lawyers had bent over backwards to grant all of his demands to get him to drop the lawsuit. So the first demand was that Al apologize. Second demand was that he get a TNA contract, so Al produced that. And he tried to warn Joey to read it, but Joey would have none of this, and he wanted to sign it as quickly as possible. So he made Al turn around, he signed his name on this back, and he handed it back over. And Al said, well, since you didn't read it, I'll just tell you now, this is not a lifetime contract or a long-term contract. This is a one-day contract. And this contract is only good for Bound for Glory when you are going to wrestle me. He left,
And I'm going to kick your ass.
He's going to kick his ass, and Joey was upset. So, you must pay your money to watch Al Snow wrestle Joey Ryan.
Yep.
Okay. Kurt Angle met with Sting, begged Sting to pick him to be the partner. As he was pleading his case, Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian poked their heads around a corner. There's no other word for this. They may as well have had little sound effects. Papa.
I love that they poke their head around the corner in the background. Uh-huh. And it's like, you could not in a million years have missed this.
We should even say, Sting was on one side of the screen and Angle was on the other, and the two heels appeared between them.
Yes,
in the background.
Right in the middle of the screen, these two heads popped out. It was patently obvious. And so the camera guy had to make sure to zoom in on the heads.
Yes.
Just in case you hadn't seen it.
Yes.
That killed the hilarity of this.
So it did, but in a different way made it funnier. It made it so unfunny it became funny. So Angle pled his case, then Bully Ray arrived. He also wanted to be Sting's pick. Sting said, I need a bully. You have to go prove yourself tonight. We had Rob Van Dam versus, I wrote Sting, it was Samoa Joe. Rob tried a banana split. Perhaps he's been watching his Volk Han YouTube clips. Match was pretty wonky early. Eventually they found their groove. It was pretty good. And Joe won clean with a muscle buster. He is the TV champion, in case you'd forgotten, and Lord knows I did.
Samoa Joe beat Rob Van Dam clean in the middle with the full Nelson ass buster. Oh, wait, no, that was later. With whatever he beat him with. But the point is, he pinned him clean in the middle. Muscle buster. And at the end of the show, I was therefore baffled that they did not choose Samoa Joe, but rather they chose Mr. Anderson, who merely pinned Gunner. I thought this was a far more impressive win.
You would
personally.
You would think.
And I did like that we had two matches on this show where a dude came out, he wrestled a match, and he was the better man.
Yes.
Especially in this case, since he's the TV champion. Great! Thumbs up.
We had the three teams going into the three-way for the pay-per-view. We're all bickering at each other in the locker room. Angle was not there. Daniels and Kazarian told AJ they had heard Angle trying to get out of the match, saying he no longer wanted to be a team with AJ. We had Dixie Carter's favorite Bound for Glory memory.
Before we move on, one thing about that segment. I finally figured out why when people bitch back and forth on Raw, it is so much less infuriating. I'm not saying it's not infuriating. It's less infuriating than when they do it on Impact. And that is, for some reason, on Impact, whenever there are 3 or 4 people together and they all have to be complaining about something, particularly the women, when they're bitching back and forth, everyone is bitching at the same time. Infuriating. That is why I hate these segments. Like, everyone's complaining at the exact same time, and I couldn't hear what any single person was saying at any given time. It was just everybody talking at once, loudly, often yelling, and a hodgepodge jumble of verbiage. How's that for a hodgepodge jumble of verbiage there?
There's some wordsmithing there.
But the point is, it drives me nuts. At least on Raw, when a bunch of people are bitching, they all take turns. You can hear what each person's gripe is. And sometimes when they do actually both yell at the same time, there's always that third person there to tell everybody to shut up. Not here! It's just everybody talking all over each other and screaming and just making noise. So please, if anybody from Impact is listening, I beg of you, stop doing that. That drives me nuts. Let everyone say their thing and then cut away.
We had Chavo Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. Wait, I'm skipping ahead here. The hell am I? Oh, Dixie. Dixie had a favorite Bound for Glory memory. It was a bunch of times Sting won the title at Bound for Glory. None of which I remember. Aries and Hardy had a meeting. They agreed they would be on the same page until the pay-per-view. Ray walked up, said he needed to prove himself, and he thought the best way to do that was to beat Jeff. This made Aries mad because he is, after all, the champion, and the best way to prove yourself should be to beat him. Ray said, I already beat you. And Jeff said we should just do a triple threat instead. And Ray said fine, and Jeff said fine, and Aries was pissed. Then we had Chavo Guerrero versus Kurt Angle.
Good match.
This was a good match. It was slow paced, and it was in that note was very different than everything else on the show, which is good. It built to both guys suplexing the hell out of each other. Chavo missed a frog splash. Angle hit an angle slam. He went for the ankle lock, but Hernandez distracted him. Chavo hit a schoolboy for the pin. Angle kicked out at 3.1. Got into a shoving match with Chavo. The two babyface teams squared off. Then Daniels and Kazarian appeared on the ramp, laughing at these idiots, and everyone shouted at each other for a while, and that was it. Chavo in TNA looks so much more relaxed and comfortable than he ever did in WWE. He probably is.
Probably having fun for once in his life.
Enjoying himself and taking pride in his work.
Yeah.
Awesome. We had Douglas Williams versus Zema Ion. Doug Williams looks like a wrestler straight out of 1970. Looks like a man who should have feuded with the Crusher.
Mm-hmm.
Zema won very quickly with a new armbar, and he refused to break the hold, and the ref reversed the decision, so Williams won by DQ.
It's odd.
I don't know what it accomplished. Zema cut a promo, talked about Sting looking for a partner, and he told Sting, "Do not pick me. I don't want any part of this fight." We had Bruce Pritchard and D'Lo Brown looking at footage of Matt Morgan beating up a referee at a TNA house show.
Yes.
And then Pritchard began to chew out D'Lo Brown. And it occurred to me here that, at least in storyline, Bruce Pritchard is D'Lo's boss.
Yes, that is correct.
That is weird. That struck me as very, very weird. So, Pritchard chewed him out, said, "Don't let this happen again," and D'Lo said, "Yes, sir." James Storm came out for a promo, and he starts to talk about how it's been a year since last Bound for Glory, and 1 year ago was when Beer Money broke up, and here we are 12 long months later, and we're finally doing the big blow-off match, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, and it's going to be at best third from the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said this was the biggest match of his life.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's see. In the last year, you've had 2 pay-per-view matches on the 2 biggest shows of the year for the world title, and now you're facing Bobby Roode in a match. I didn't get it.
I don't either. So he talked about all this. Then he said that they were bringing Mo in because none of the other refs could control it. Roode came out and essentially said everything Storm had already said. Mm-hmm. And Mo came out. He had a sparkly robe, a crown, MMA gloves, and literally the most generic music you could think of.
Yeah, I didn't like this. I mean, it was fine. I didn't like Mo coming out in all of his outfits. The crown, the wacky robe. I don't know. It's nitpicking. I realize it's his gimmick, but to me, first off, what was he doing there? Number one, I can understand that maybe King Mo just happened to be in the building, and Bobby Roode just happened to call him out, and he just happened to have his music there and queued up and everything like that. But he also just happened to be in robe, crown, gloves. What was he doing back there?
Yeah.
Maybe he was doing a photo shoot. I don't know. But I thought Mo should have just come out in, like, you know, nice suit, just like a star. Come out in a nice suit, get in Bobby Roode's face, shove him down. I mean, did he look like more of a superstar because he was dressed in a crown and a goofy, sparkly robe? I don't know. I have no problem with... Listen, when Mo comes out for, like, when he finally wrestles, fine. Bring him out in the robe and the cape and the crown and the gloves and all that. But for this thing here, he should just come out in a suit, I thought. He kind of looked to me, he appeared to be a clown in all this getup.
He looked phony.
Yeah, I wasn't...
Which he's not.
But he had good presence, and it was believable when he got in the face of Bobby Roode and shoved him on his ass.
Roode shoved him, and Mo shoved him back, and Roode ran away.
Yeah.
And then Mo sauntered down to the ring, and he had a brief face-off with Storm, and then Storm raised his hand, and then they drank a beer together, and this seems like what's the word? Improper behavior for an official.
Yeah, I presume he's just going to screw Storm or something like that, so Storm can look like a goddamn idiot for the third straight major pay-per-view.
You may be right.
But, again, I didn't have any problem with anything that he did in terms of once he was out there, but the outfit just didn't work.
I am more bothered by the music. This sounded like something that you would hear, like when you're watching the local Orlando news and they're going to commercial. This is the music they would play.
Yeah.
It's just this sort of, I keep using the word generic, but this electronic beat, basically, is all it really was. And it was like, what's the first piece of public domain music we can find? It's right here. Okay, we'll use that. We had a brief segment where Sting told Hogan he was leaning towards choosing Bully, but they wanted to see how he would fare in the main event. Cut to the Aces and Eights lair. Joe Park is still being tied up. And the Aces and Eights boss talked about how they had a match coming up soon. And then they stripped Joe to his t-shirt. They got the t-shirt wet, which is not sexy. And then they proceeded to zap him with a car battery.
Mm-hmm.
So to recap, they showed footage of themselves torturing a man who they had kidnapped and held prisoner for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the desk, and Mike Adamle says, "Wow." That's all he said. That is all he said.
Well, he said a little more than that, but the key...
Something about how they're pulling up the big guns, or...
Yes. The key was he was rather underwhelmed. He was like...
I'll say.
Wow, they got Joe Park. So anyway, everybody, time for the main event.
He sounded...
You know what he sounded like? He sounded like he was commenting on a bullshit angle on a stupid television show.
That could have been
which was, in fact, what he was doing.
Well,
so, really, he kept his credibility.
I suppose. It would have been awesome if he had just shot on it. What the hell was that? What did we just see? Had the main event. Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries, and Bully Ray. So you've got Austin Aries, who is, I guess, technically still a babyface. Everyone knows he's turning soon. He may have turned in this match, actually. But you have Jeff Hardy, who is the most popular wrestler in the company, which is why he's in the main event in the first place. And you have Bully Ray, who they made a babyface for one show and then turned him back the next show. So what happened here was that Bully Ray, the only definite heel, outsmarted the babyfaces, bonked them into each other, hit Jeff with the full Nelson ass buster, and pinned him clean.
Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I mean, listen, I get the idea that I figure that...
The main event, obviously, is the Aces and Eights match.
I figure that Bully Ray gets chosen. Actually, we didn't even see the end because the DVR cut off, so I should probably find out if they actually chose Bully Ray or what happened. Might be the key here.
I think they did. I'm pretty sure I looked this up.
Let me find the Impact Report.
It's very crucial we know the fate of Bully Ray.
Do we have an Impact Report on our website?
No one cares.
No one cares. We're looking for it.
You and I care. It's our job.
Where is the Impact Report?
New official Bound for Glory matches. Sting and Bully Ray versus two men from Aces and Eights.
All right, so it is official. Why don't we have an Impact Report on my website right now?
No one watched it.
Oh, here we go. Because Jeff Hamlin had a prior commitment, the full TNA TV report will be up in the morning. All right. So anyway, Bully Ray. So Bully Ray is... I figure Bully Ray is the leader of Aces and Eights. That's been my prediction for a while now.
Yeah.
Particularly when they showed the leader from behind last week and he was wearing a backward baseball cap. The only thing missing was a Yankees logo on it. But anyway, I figure that he turns. So obviously the idea here was they wanted to do something to get him into this match. But in doing so, they beat Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
They made Bully Ray look like he, in fact, was deserving of a title shot. Since last I recall, prior to the last pay-per-view, I believe that he beat Austin Aries twice, if I recall correctly.
He beat him last week.
Which led to me asking if he was actually going to get a shot at the title at the pay-per-view. So basically, Bully Ray is beating everybody involved in the World Championship match, and he's not involved in the World Championship match.
Right.
I don't like this booking.
No. It is amazing. It seems like only 3 months ago everything was going great. And
well, this show was better, I will say that.
Everything's going badly now.
I think that if Bully Ray turns and let's say Jeff Hardy wins the title, then yes, you do set up Jeff Hardy versus Bully Ray. That's all fine. But that's logic for down the road. The logic for now, this is preposterous. Why is Bully Ray not in the title match at the pay-per-view? He's beaten both dudes.
Yeah, it's...
The problem with Impact, Vinny, I know that you don't think the show's very good, and it was certainly better several months ago, but the main problem is aces and eights. If you take aces and eights out of these shows, the shows would improve dramatically.
Aces and eights do suck.
That storyline is a anchor of death, as opposed to the anchor that is your running mate.
Yes.
It is a death anchor on this show. It drags the entire show down 50,000 leagues under the sea. I mean, the rest of the show can be great, but this storyline is so ridiculous. It's so preposterous. It's so goofy and unrealistic, and the announcers blow it off, and it's just so dumb. It's so dumb that it drags down the entire rest of the show. So,
well, let's review what the top 3 matches for the alleged biggest show of the year are.
Well, let me say one more thing about Aces and Eights. Aces and Eights stuff didn't happen until the last 15 minutes or so of this show. Up until then, the show was fine. Which is, to me, evidence that the Aces and Eights is killing this program.
It was nice not to have them all over the show for once. I thought the show was boring. I wouldn't say fine. It wasn't, like, offensively bad. The worst part was the Aces and Eights stuff. That is true.
Yes.
But we should mention that Sting originally chose Mr. Anderson, but the Aces and Eights killed him.
That's right.
And so he was forced to choose Bully Ray because no one was left.
That's right.
So Sting looks like an idiot now. And Anderson looks like a pussy.
Well, he was beaten up by 8 men.
Yeah, he was beaten up by 8 men. So, let's quickly run down the top 3 matches for Bound for Glory and why they suck. You have Sting and Bully Ray versus 2 Aces and Eights dudes.
Which they pretty much admitted on the show we're not going to know until the actual pay-per-view starts.
And even when they do, they're not going to name them. It'll just be 2 Aces and Eights dudes.
That's true.
As noted...
Maybe Ace will be Anchor.
It'll just be named Ace and 8?
Yeah.
It sounds like Batman villain sidekicks.
Maybe it'll be Anchor and Rich Franklin. They're the Aces. And then we just got to find out whoever the 8s are.
8. Think of an 8 person.
Velvet Sky.
How many titles did Harley Race win?
Velvet Sky and... I think Harley Race was 6. It was like a big deal when Flair hit 7.
You're right. Yeah. Anyway.
So two very attractive but not absolutely stunning girls. Those would be the 8s.
I see. Okay.
Christy Hemme and Velvet Sky.
Fair enough.
Along with Anchor and Rich Franklin.
That sounds so much more appealing than what we have.
That's the Aces and Eights.
So, yes, we're going to watch this match. It is the centerpiece of the company. It is the centerpiece of every show. It sucks. No one likes it, and that's what they want you to pay money to see. And apparently, it's just going to be a big swerve anyway. The title match is something that they built. They spent a year building up match A. They yanked that match away at the last second and threw together match B. And so far, have done nothing but have the 2 combatants lose repeatedly. Yeah. That sucks. I said earlier that Roode and Storm would be third from the top. After seeing what they did to the title match, I may have changed my mind. Perhaps the title match will be third from the top. But Roode and Storm is the match that, as noted last week, and frankly, it's the perfect description. It is being booked as if both guys are leaving. They're just being ignored out there, and the centerpiece of their big blow-off match is actually the referee.
At this point, I think if they had the opportunity to leave, they would. But I don't think they do.
It's quite horrible, this show.
And don't forget Joey Ryan and Al Snow.
And also, Joey Ryan will fight Avatar.
Yep.
In 2012.
So you're underwhelmed.
I would say I'm pissed.
Wow. Well, everybody, that's your Impact report.
This appears to be a deliberate attempt to make me not interested in a pay-per-view.
I can't believe that in your speech at the beginning of the show, you didn't mention anything about abolishing wrestling.
Perhaps I should have. Well, should we talk about Impact?
That's fine.
They did the Impact Opens. There's like a little 2-minute video recap of everything that happened last week. And they showed King Mo debuting. And after King Mo debuted, he cut a promo backstage. And it was good. And they showed it here in the recap. They did not show it last week when he made his actual debut. Because after all these years, it's still TNA. King
Mo made a cameo on this show. We'll talk about it later, but man, King Mo just dressed as like a normal person, came off as so much more of a badass than when he showed up last week in his goofy outfit. That outfit just does not work unless it's just part of his ring entrance. He should be just traipsing around backstage wearing that getup. And based on how last week went down, that's apparently what was happening. They mentioned his name, and out he came.
Yeah.
Not scheduled. It was off script, apparently, for them to mention King Mo. But out he came in that outfit. It was so wacky. If he were just there visiting, which I suppose we're supposed to presume he was, he wouldn't have been backstage in that goofy getup. And he looks so goofy on TV and so low rent. And just this week, in a 10-second segment where he smashed James Storm up against a locker and told him to knock that shit off, I was like, wow. Don't mess with that, dude. That's what they need out of King Mo.
I suspect the reaction to that segment around the nation was largely, don't mess with that dude, whoever he may be.
Yeah.
Because without his wacky gimmick, he was just a guy.
Well, it didn't help they didn't
name him.
Name him, mention him.
Yeah, he was just some guy who walked in and broke up a fight. Austin Aries versus James Storm. I don't know why this match was happening. I certainly don't know why it was the opener, but it was one half of the alleged main event versus one half of the alleged co-main event. So, of course, there was no finish.
Let me say one more thing about King Mo. I just got to say this real quick. Does nobody on the writing team or running TNA or running Bellator or running Spike, do they not have any normal friends? Is it really that hard to ask your friends if they know who King Mo is? There seems to be assumption that everybody knows who King Mo is and that he is considered a big star.
Yeah.
King Mo had a few fights on Strikeforce, on Showtime. He's never had a UFC fight in his life. His only national television appearances have been for Impact or for, I guess he's done some of that, whatever the show is with Craig Carton or whatever his name is. But
the show after Impact?
Yeah. No one knows who this guy is. No one knows who this guy is. I have friends that are going to be here Saturday night for UFC, and they come over, I can't say often anymore. They used to come over often. Now there's too many shows, so they come over here and there. But I have friends that are going to come over Saturday. No one knows who King Mo is. I don't think any of my pro wrestling fans have any idea who King Mo is. And literally the only people I know who King Mo is are people like Dave and you, obviously, and Todd, and people on the website. That is it. That is the only people I know who've ever heard of King Mo in their lives. So I know their idea is, well, we won't put him in the ring. He'll just be a special attraction. What is a special attraction if no one has ever heard of you?
If he's not attracting anyone.
They may as well put you on the show, Vinny, because the exact same audience... Actually,
perhaps larger.
You are probably as well known among the audience as King Mo is at this point.
Yes. Among the Impact Wrestling audience, I think it's actually a very fair statement. So, we had Austin Aries versus James Storm in the opener. I was trying to figure out why this match was happening and why it was at this place in the show. They explained it was because Austin Aries did not want to get complacent here 4 days before his World Championship match at the biggest show of the year. So they did a double down, and Storm rolled out of the ring, and Bobby Roode ran down and threw him towards the post, and the camera was positioned perfectly to show that he came up several inches short of said post.
Oops.
So he threw him back into the ring, and the ref never saw any of this, but Aries did, and rather than alert the referee to what had happened, Aries chose to pick Storm up, hit him with a brainbuster, and get the pin. And then it was to the back!
To the back.
Because it was not important what the world champion did this match to recap and let it settle in and let people realize what happened. It was important to get to Wes Brisco.
Well, it is important because that set up his shoot later, I'm sure. That's why I was shooting.
So Kurt Angle was, in fact, meeting with Wes Brisco. AJ walked in. He demanded Wes leave. Wes gave a sad puppy dog face and left. Which, in hindsight, may have been my favorite moment on the show. Actually, that's not true. AJ was pissed off that Kurt had tried to get into the match with Sting. Kurt tried to calm him down. They shouted at each other for a while. Sting's Bound for Glory memory was when he beat Hogan last year. He teased retirement after the show, saying the only thing that was for sure is that nothing's for sure. Hogan and Sting then hit the ring for a promo. Mm-hmm. Hogan, not a poker player, started saying things like 6 or 7 aces or a full hand. I like a full hand. So, these guys...
what's so funny is like... Hulk Hogan is like, because he's Hulk Hogan, and because he's got such a distinctive interview style, and because he's a wrestling legend and maybe the most famous wrestler of all time in this country, he can get away with saying something completely nonsensical in almost every single promo.
Yeah. He's
essentially like, is he really that different than, say, Mike Adamle?
Yes.
Is he really?
How to explain this?
He's Hulk Hogan. That's the only difference between Hulk Hogan and Mike Adamle. He's Hulk Hogan, and he does a little better job pronouncing names. But that's about it.
Hogan, because when Adamle screws up, he is not, or when he screwed up, he was not aware. He, to his knowledge, was giving out correct information. Hogan, when he screws up, he knows he's wrong most of the time. Some of the time. But it doesn't matter. For example, here, before he said this thing, he did say, I'm not much of a card player. So in this instance, he didn't know what he was talking about, but he made that part of the show. This does not explain why he once called Joe Park Joseph Parks.
See? Exactly.
That was a Hoganism.
Mike Adamle.
So, they actually did a great job of recapping the entire angle without breaking character and without sounding phony or forced. Daniels and Kazarian came down. They could not believe that these two men had picked Bully Ray to fight the Aces and Eights. They said this man cannot be trusted. They demanded that their tag title match at the pay-per-view be canceled, and Kurt Angle put in a Bully Ray spot. Ray came down, said to prove he could be trusted, he wanted to team with Sting tonight against Daniels and Kaz. Hogan made this official, and the tag champs freaked out. AJ Styles was wrestling Hernandez. It didn't go very long, and about 3 minutes in, Hernandez pinned him with a shoulder block. You insisted this was a pounce.
It's kind of pounce.
He pushed him off to the side a bit.
Yeah. This
did not look like a finisher. I mean,
I'm sure if Hernandez hit you with that fucking move, it'd be a finisher.
I hope he would hit me harder than he hit AJ here.
You know what else doesn't look like a finisher? The F-U. But it doesn't matter. That's the guy's move.
All right.
Dude, I'd much rather he did that than some of his other goofy attempted finishers.
Yeah, he does have a lot of moves that kill people.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It seems strange. We had an Aces and Eights promo. They are still, in fact, kidnapping Joseph Parks. It's been weeks. Literally weeks.
I do like how when Hogan came out early in the show with Sting, he was, like, happy and full of joy.
Yeah, no one cares.
And meanwhile, apparently we have learned that Joseph Parks is at least eating.
He has been taken.
But he has been kidnapped for weeks.
Yes.
But Hogan's like, brother.
Yes.
Especially when he came out and he goes, a lot of stuff happened since the last Impact. And I was like, sure fucking has, dude. Sure has. Your
Zema
prawn
Ion.
tape.
Zema Ion. Zema Ion was in the ring. He cut his usual promo. RVD came out and interrupted. We had two grown men in the ring saying effing repeatedly.
Yeah.
Lame. So Rob said Hulk had let him pick his own opponent for the pay-per-view. And the long story short, he kicked Zema's belt into his face and said, I will see you in Phoenix. This all took, including RVD's entrance, this all took less than 2 minutes, and then it was to the back again.
I do like how, I think it was earlier Bully, or maybe it's later, I can't remember when Bully did his big speech to Hogan and everybody, but at some point on the show he mentioned, I think he said something like, I'm the toughest effing guy on this show. And it's like, as soon as you throw an effing, you're a dork.
You're not tough.
You're a geek. So stop saying FN.
So,
one more thing, too, by the way.
Right.
Have we talked about Aces and Eights yet? Have I zoned out? Have we got to their promo?
Yeah.
We have? Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about this. It really hit me on this show that the pay-per-view is Sunday, and one of the big main events is Bully and Sting against two members of Aces and Eights, with the steps being that if the good guys win, if Team TNA wins, Aces and Eights are gone forever. And if they lose, Aces and Eights get the run of the place. And they're building this up big. And all I could think during the show was, Aces and Eights haven't run roughshod on anyone in like a month. You know what I mean?
Took out Anderson last week.
Did they?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Maybe I was cheering them.
It took about 6 seconds of television time.
I just feel like they should be like running roughshod, at least twice on every show, so that it's kind of building to, oh my God, we've got to get rid of these guys. Instead, they've like locked them out, and it's largely worked.
They did close the doors, and problem solved.
Yeah.
I see your point. I'm just happy they're gone.
Well,
they'll be back.
They'll be back with a vengeance.
It is a goddamn terrible feud. It is a horrible feud.
It's funny. I don't know if you read the Hogan interview. He's done a lot of interviews.
I have been avoiding all Hogan news.
His prawn tape came out.
I don't want to know any details that I might accidentally learn.
Well, he was asked about his tape, obviously, and he was asked about Impact. It's very interesting. Hogan he's a bullshitter, as everyone is well aware. But, I mean, sometimes he says things that are true, because he's confirming things that we've heard otherwise. And one of them was the whole idea that Bobby Roode was going to win the title at Bound for Glory last year, and Hogan decided to change his mind and not make him the babyface, and he lost, and then he broke the beer bottle, and then he ended up turning heel, and this and that. So Hogan confirmed that. And he confirmed that there had been many ideas that he had admittedly screwed up, he said. They had a direction. He all of a sudden decided he didn't like it, so he just changed it. And he admitted he'd screwed some things up. But what's very interesting is that he said, and granted it's Hogan, so I don't know if this is true, but I have no idea why he would lie about this. He said that they were planning the Aces and Eights big reveal several weeks ago. However, it was so hot that they decided to hold it off.
Okay, this is Hogan being a bullshitter. I once read an interview with Hogan.
I think he, honest to God, believes that this is awesome.
Well, that's possible. He may be that delusional, too. But I remember an interview with him years after WCW closed down and all this. He was talking about the legendary match with Sting. Legendary in a bad way. And he said he couldn't believe that Sting was going over in the end because the NWO was just starting to take off. People were really into it. For those of you who don't recall, some of you may not, people were so sick of the NWO by that point. And then they drug it out for like 4 more years. Oh, however long they were employed. I guess it would have been 4 years, 3 or 4 years. So, yeah. Hogan's full of shit. Breaking news. Speaking of, he's in the next segment here. All right. So last week, the show ended with Hogan and Sting agreeing to team with Bully Ray against the Aces and Eights. Then in the opening segment of this very show, Hogan and Sting were all buddy-buddy with Bully Ray. So here now, they're all in Hogan's office shouting at each other about who can trust who. And then they just left. This accomplished nothing except to piss me off. When you said at the opening of the show that this show was great,
well,
this show had one great segment.
They had some good matches.
It had one great match. Oh, God. Brooke Hogan.
This I consider great. Listen, if something is so bad that I'm entertained and I want to watch it like 10 times,
and we did,
I consider that great. Because in the end, it's sports entertainment. I just want to be entertained. And if you can entertain me, then more power to you. Now, granted, Sometimes things I'm entertained by are not best for business, like Brooke Hogan. But I laughed uproariously at how stupid and horrible everything about this sucked.
Yes.
But it was hilariously horrible.
It was often hilarious.
Yeah.
So Brooke's there talking to Taryn Terrell.
And I had to rewind this because you didn't believe me when I said what she said.
I did not. I thought you were lying or imagining things, but no, you were accurate. She was talking about Tara and all the drama that she was causing. And then Brooke said, as God strike me dead if I am lying, Brooke said she was Tara-ing her hair out.
Yeah.
And then Taryn Terrell, who is not a good actress anyway, had to fake laugh.
I bet she really laughed.
So
we had a Tiffany moment here, by the way. I don't remember what she said, but she was very Tiffany when saying
she promised to keep everything fair. So Tara arrived. She dismissed Taryn, who left. Tara then turned to Brooke Hogan and said, "You're Hollywood elite." Brooke Hogan, everyone. Mm-hmm.
Hollywood elite.
Star of, I believe, Sand Sharks.
By the way, that's right. That's right. By the way, Zema Ion, and to change his name to Zema Ion from his original name of Shima Ion, because they wanted to own the name. And he is far from the only new signee that they've had to change the name for this reason, even if it's something remarkably similar to what his other name was. Meanwhile, they were fine with Taryn Terrell. They let her keep her name. The reason I bring it up is because we now have a Tara and a Taryn.
Yeah.
You couldn't change her damn name.
So, she had a list of demands from her Hollywood boyfriend. And my notes in this segment end with... It ended with, "Oh, fuck it. It doesn't matter. This was shit."
I think they should
stand by this statement.
They should change Tiffany's name to Epiphany. I think about that.
That's actually... As in every week, we suddenly realize once again how awful she is.
Every week she has some
it
sort
hits
of
us like a lightning bolt. Yes.
She'd be like, I don't know, they have to think of some epiphany. She'd have to have one every week.
Well, that died quick.
I can't think of any. It'd have to be something basic like, there's 3 ropes!
I think she's already doing this gimmick when you put it that way.
Yeah.
There's something new for her every week.
Yeah.
We had Sting and Bully Ray versus Cass and Daniels in the best part of the show.
Legs in first on pants.
Sting was wrestling in a t-shirt. This was a great old school tag team match.
I love this match.
They got the heat on Sting. They did a bunch of false tags and near tags and all this great stuff. And Ray got a hot tag and he ran wild and was great. And
what a great babyface.
He is a great babyface.
It's too bad Bully Ray is stuck here in TNA. And I don't even mean that really as I don't mean to bury TNA when I say that. It's just a reality. I mean, you think AJ Styles is ever going to get into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame? It's going to be virtually impossible because he spent his entire career in TNA.
Yeah.
Bully Ray is having like the best run of his entire life, and it's in TNA.
Yes.
So it's not like anyone's going to ever consider him a Hall of Famer. But goddamn, he is great. He's just great. He's a great promo. He's a great babyface. He's a great heel. I hope he gets the world title at some point. I know belts mean nothing, but this dude deserves, before his career is over, to be able to say that he won the world title one day.
So beyond just being a great match, it actually accomplished. It moved the story along as well, because you see, at one point, Daniels tried to attack Sting with a belt from behind, but Bully made the save because he was watching Sting's back. And then Kaz tried to jump Ray, and Sting cut him off because Sting was watching Bully's back. They had a big heroic handshake, and they got the tables, and they put Daniels through a table with a powerbomb. This was a disqualification, but the fans didn't care, and the babyfaces didn't care because they weren't here to win a match. They were here to show that they could work together, and they were ready to fight.
Yeah.
A beautiful segment.
I honest to God think it wouldn't work in WWE because everything is still going to go through Stephanie and Vince and everything like that. But I bet you could give Bully Ray the book for a major wrestling company, and he'd book a hell of a promotion.
Hell yeah.
Honest to God, believe that.
And all signs are that his wrestling school is doing very well, too.
And I hope he gets a chance one of these days.
Yeah. So, we should also mention that they were supporting players in this segment, but Kaz and Daniels are the best act in this company by far.
Yeah.
I would even say they're better than Ray. They're great.
I don't know about that.
There was a short, low-key, and I say that mean laid back, not the indie guy. Austin Aries, Jeff Hardy video package. Well, someone might get confused. You never know. We had Al Snow and Joey Ryan cutting promos on each other. Joey Ryan he's Joey Ryan. He claimed he would have a home field advantage because they were on the West Coast. I'm sure he didn't mean that. Magnus confronted Joe backstage. He said people wanted to see him fight. Or people wanted to pay to see him fight. That's not going to happen. Gail Kim versus Brooke Tessmacher. There's a point in this match where Mike TNA described Tessmacher as ass-tastic.
And everyone went dead silent.
It was the longest, most awkward silence you've ever heard.
Loki, by the way, is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Does not count as an indie?
I don't think you can count him as an indie guy.
All right. I take it back then. You all knew who I meant. So they're having this match, and it went pretty long. It was okay, and then Brooke hit her finisher out of nowhere and won.
Match fell apart at the end. I don't know what they were supposed to do, but it very clearly fell apart at the end.
It looked to me, and it could be that they planned something that just went wrong and just ad-libbed this, but it looked to me like they went too long and were suddenly told to go home right now.
Yeah. I think Aries' match at the beginning of the show fell apart a little bit at the end, too.
So Tessmacher won here, and then Tara ran down to attack her, but Brooke laid her out and hit her finisher on her, too. So in wrestling, that means the title change is coming.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. Rude was cutting a promo on Hardy backstage when Storm interrupted. They started brawling, and King Mo split them up. And as noted, no one named him. He had no crown. He was just a big, scary black guy hanging out backstage at TNA. Jeff Hardy's Bound for Glory memory was jumping off a high thing. 33 feet, he claimed.
He busted out a tape measure. How high am I falling from here?
He put a bitch through a table. We had a cool Sting Hall of Fame video. Main event was Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Roode. Hardy, if you have not watched TNA in years, his new gimmick is that he puts his face paint on, and he paints eyeballs onto his eyelids. So when he closes his eyes, it looks like he's very, very wide-eyed. This week, those eyes were cross-eyed. That made me laugh. So they wrestled for a long time, and then Roode hit the nut shot. So just like the main event, or excuse me, the opener to the show, it was one half of the co-main event at Bound for Glory versus one half of the semi-main, and no clean finish in either match. I'm thirsty. And I guess none of that really matters because the Aces and Eights are going to be in the main event anyway. So, at this point is where the show went off the rails. Austin Aries comes storming down the ramp. He says he has things to say, and it's not what they told me to say. He ripped up a piece of paper and threw it away, and he said he was going to say what was really on his mind. And he wasn't jealous of Hardy. He wasn't jealous of the fans. He wasn't jealous of his rap sheet.
Yeah, all that stuff they said the last few weeks he said was not true.
Yeah, it was fake. Everything you've been watching was fake, but this is real. So, he wasn't jealous of Jeff's rap sheet or his failing health. He was jealous of the way people catered to him. This resulted in cheers for Jeff. Then Austin said he had been asking for new music, and they had said no.
Yeah, he wanted music fitting a champion such as himself. I don't know what that means.
I just think that it's not enough this feud is over the World Heavyweight Championship.
Now it's over music rights.
He didn't get his new music.
Yeah.
This was stupid. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I didn't care beforehand. So, yeah. They bickered for a while, and Aries laid him out, and that was the end of the show. So, like I say, it sucked. Don't get me wrong.
Jeff should have said, I'm going to kick your ass on Sunday, and then I'll write you a song.
That's true. You just say, hey, I'm looking for work.
Yeah.
Call my agent. I'll make you a song. I do my song. So, yes, as a go-home show, this sucked.
Throughout the format. Throughout the script.
They spent all summer building up to Bound for Glory, and now it's here, and no one gives a shit.
Yeah, they should have stuck with the plan.
I cannot fathom anyone buying the show for their own amusement.
Should have stuck with the plan. So there you go, everybody. That was Impact, and that's it for the show for today.
Let's seriously think about the top match. Let's
Want to go over the card? Let's go over the card.
Let's go over real quick. I'm doing this from memory, so perhaps I will overlook something.
I'll find it here.
You have the only match that I would actually be excited for as a wrestling match, the three-way tag. That will probably almost certainly be fun.
AJ Styles and Kurt Angle versus Chavo and Hernandez versus the World Tag Team Champions of the World, Chris Daniels and Kazarian.
Yes. That will be good.
I agree.
RVD versus Zema Ion. At best, it will be fine. And they introduced it here in a 2-minute segment that they cut away from as soon as possible, so no one cares. Joey Ryan versus Al Snow. Maybe it'll be average. Perhaps it'll be average. No one's paying to see it. No one's excited to see it. Bully Ray and Sting versus two men. We don't even know who they are.
You won't know till Sunday.
You won't know till Sunday.
You may not even know Sunday.
You are only supposed to be... The only reason you would pay to see this is because you are so intently interested in the result of the stipulations. Which is whether they will be gone forever or whether they will be back on Thursday and all over the place, like they have been all summer. Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy in a Styles clash with a great big babyface and a tiny little heel. The build for which was so cold they had to try something radically different in the last segment of the Go Home show to try to get us interested. Mm-hmm. Bobby Roode versus James Storm, the revenge match they have been building to for almost literally 1 year, is now going to be third from the top, and we've already seen them fight several times.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? Tessmacher and Tara. It will be a women's match.
Yeah. You are missing something.
We will find out who the Hollywood boyfriend is, I guess.
You're missing Joe and Magnus.
I had forgotten Joe and Magnus. That could be good.
Here are my thoughts on this show very quickly. RVD and Zema Ion, I don't care. Joey Ryan and Al Snow, I don't care. Not working for me at all. Tara and Tessmacher, I don't care. Magnus and Joe, I don't really care, but I thought Magnus was awesome on the show last night. He's a great character and good promo, same with Joe. I think this is going to be a good match, and I have no problem with it, and I'm happy it's on the card. Bobby Roode and James Storm, I actually think it's probably going to be a pretty good match. It's a street fight, smoke and mirrors.
I didn't even think of King Mo. I totally forgot about King Mo.
King Mo will be involved. I don't know what he's going to do. But I'm fine with this match. I mean, they screwed this whole thing up. They screwed it up with Bobby Roode. They screwed it up with James Storm. Bobby Roode will end up champion again at some point. That's pretty much a guarantee. James Storm may never end up champion again. But it's really no one's fault except the people who decided to send James Storm off the rails. James Storm getting a 20-point head start in the Bound for Glory tournament and then losing in the end. After losing at Lockdown in the match they billed as the big match and now is his time, dude's dead. So what can you do? Tag match will be awesome. Very much looking forward to that. I think that Hardy and Austin is going to be a good match. The finish, I think people are going to be unhappy because I think it's going to be something goofy. Or maybe they'll just give Jeff Hardy the championship. That is also a very good possibility. In fact, that may be where they're going. But that leads to the biggest question of all, which is, where do they put Aces and Eights against Sting and Bully Ray? Because I am 100% convinced, 99% convinced, they can always change, I fully expect Bully Ray to be the man behind Aces and Eights. Or at least the top wrestler involved, with Eric Bischoff as the man behind the whole thing. Probably the old style horseman beatdown. Aces, Eights, and Bully, all 3-on-1 against Sting. Maybe the locker room empties. More aces and eights dude come out. They lay out all the baby faces. Eric Bischoff comes out. The big reveal. And we're off to the races. I expect something like that to happen. I expect the reveal at Bound for Glory. Which then means you're going to do the big reveal for the aces and eights in the middle of the show. And then you're just going to go back to wrestling matches. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're really going to do the aces and eights reveal and then put Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries in the ring in a singles match, one-on-one, straight up for the title? That ain't going to work. So, do you put aces and eights against Sting and Bully Ray on last?
Yes.
That's what you do?
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that's going to happen.
All right. I wasn't expecting that, but you may be right. You may be right. Maybe Jeff Hardy wins the title, and then you've got your aces and eights. I just think if Jeff Hardy wins the title, that should be the going off the air deal on the show. But I guess
you got a point. But
TNA isn't always about sending the fans home happy.
The flaw in that logic is you're assuming that the belt's the most important thing, whereas in fact aces and eights is the most important thing.
Because it's Bischoff.
So Bound for Glory, I watched your version of the show, which I'm sure you don't want to get into, but you missed the start.
Yeah, I want to get into this real quick.
Shocking.
Let me just briefly explain this fucking situation. I woke up Sunday morning with no internet. Were you here the last time I had no internet?
Actually, it was Thursday, right before we came on the air. You lost internet for 3 minutes.
Well, that was a minor issue.
All right.
I have lost fucking internet at least 4 times in the last 6 weeks, I would say. And every time it goes down, I have to call them, and it's without question minimum 40 minutes on the show with these people. The first time this happened, they said, this was Saturday, they said, we'll have a guy there Tuesday. Some of you may be unaware of this, but in fact, my job involves the internet 24/7. So this was a disaster. I have a toggle here and a laptop, so I survived, but it was absolute bullshit. Luckily, the guy comes here Monday. He messes around for several hours, and then he reports to me, I didn't have to come out here. They could have fixed it over the phone.
That sucks.
I was like, oh, really, fool? And he
Did
goes,
they say what it was?
He did. He goes, next time this happens, call them and just tell them to rebuild the cross connectors.
Okay.
So, of course, every time you call, you get some idiot at a call center who has no idea what they're doing, and they're chatting with somebody, which I could do myself, but they're chatting with someone and talking to me, and it always starts like this. Restart the router. Okay, I did that. Okay, go down, unplug the battery, and then plug it back in. I did that. Okay, now go upstairs and reset. I did that. And you keep telling them, can you just rebuild the cross connectors? Sir, did you unplug the battery? Yes. Can you rebuild the cross connectors? Sir, did you reset can you rebuild? Over and over again for 40 fucking minutes. So 4 times in a row this happened. And what day was this? TNA pay-per-view. So Sunday this happens yet again. I call them, 40 minutes on the phone, and of course, I finally get it fixed, and the guy goes, oh, this is the reason this is happening. It'll never happen again. So remember that, everybody. So then it comes time for the TNA pay-per-view. And I ordered the TNA pay-per-view. And there's another show I had to watch, another streaming pay-per-view. It was actually the Hodger Gracie Jiu-Jitsu deal that some of you may know about. But the point is, I had to watch Bound for Glory later in the evening. So I go to turn on Bound for Glory, which has been recorded, by the way, and I'm sure you've seen the times where you go to watch something you've recorded and it won't play. That's what happened here. So, of course, I call them here at 8 o'clock so I can try to get my show fixed. And what does it say? Sorry, we're closed. Hours are till 6 p.m. on Sunday. Please call back. No 24-hour service to order pay-per-views on a fucking Sunday night. Office is closed. You cannot order the pay-per-view on the other channel. It told me I didn't have enough credits. So I had to call billing on the phone for about a half hour with billing, trying to have them reset my credits so that I could order the pay-per-view a second time. And when I finally order the pay-per-view for the second time, and it comes on at 8:25 p.m., you know what the guy tells me? He goes, you're going to be billed twice. I can't take the other one off your account because we're closed right now. Call us back tomorrow and we'll take it off. Yeah. All this happened on the same day. So if you're on my Twitter and you're wondering why I said, I hate Frontier, that's why. Worse than Comcast.
It sounds worse than Comcast.
At least Comcast, I could get 24-hour service if something went wrong, which it invariably did, like, every month. But Frontier, they, like, close. And then there's no one there to answer your question or solve your problem. So anyway, I missed the first half hour of the TNA pay-per-view.
Wow. So what we saw the last 5 minutes or so of Joe and Magnus.
Which looked like a fun match.
5 minutes we saw was really good. Had Joe as the baby face. He was clearly the superior wrestler, but he couldn't quite put Magnus away. And Magnus managed to avoid the choke several times, and finally Joe got the choke on in the middle of the ring, and Magnus tapped out. Seemed fun for what we saw. We had Roode cutting a promo saying he would end Storm's career tonight. We had James Storm versus Bobby Roode in a street fight with King Mo as the special enforcer. This match ruled. If this match had been as originally planned, the main event of this show with James Storm going over, getting his year-long revenge, winning the world title, and putting a bow on the package, and completing the circle and making the whole journey worthwhile, would have been one of the best pay-per-view finishes of the year.
Yeah.
Instead, it was the third match on the card.
Yep.
So, God bless these guys. They got over that and had the best match they could. They abused each other. James Storm gashed himself. He was literally dripping blood all over the place. They were trading shots on the ramp, and blood was spattering onto Roode. They used a bunch of trash cans and trash can lids shot to the head, which a trash can lid is not a steel chair, but I could have done without this, but it was almost worth it just because as they're trading these shots, unprotected weapon shots to the head, King Mo is on the floor looking up at them thinking, what the fuck is this? That was great. Mo did not do much. He was a special enforcer, and there were no rules, so there was not much to enforce. It came down to Roode at one point tried to intimidate the ref into counting faster, and Mo jumped in to save the ref, and that was really about it. So Roode got tacks. He spread tacks out in the middle of the ring. He went to superplex Storm onto them. Storm instead shoved him off into the tacks. Bet that sucked. Then Storm hit an elbow smash off the top rope on Roode in the tacks, and I suspect that hurt Storm more than anything else in this match hurt either guy. So Roode grabbed a beer bottle. He went to hit Storm with it, but Storm cut him off. And then bringing the entire storyline full circle, the whole thing started when Roode smashed him with a beer bottle. So here Storm smashes him with a bottle. Storm is teetering in the middle of the ring, or as Roode is teetering in the middle of the ring. Storm goes back to the corner. He does a very dramatic tease of the super kick. He finally plants his foot right into Roode's jaw. Roode does the timber splash back into the tacks, and Storm covers him for the pin. A perfect finish. A hell of a match. A bloody finish to a blood feud.
I really did like this match. I'm glad they just went, fuck it!
Yes.
And they went and they did their match.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Yes, and my review of had this gone on last, my review of the entire show would be so much better.
Dave was a little bit, I don't know if down on it is the right term, but he thought it was too much like a 90s ECW match. And to me, great! It's okay to go back and have a match like that for a blow-off of a feud. If every match would have been like this, or if you saw matches like this all the time, it would suck.
That is the key.
But this was right place, right time. Well, actually, right place, right time would have been the main event for the title. But
right time-ish.
Rightish place, rightish time to do this kind of match.
Yes.
And I think it was, listen, it's just like we always say. You wouldn't have wanted to start this match with a lockup. You want to start? This is the end of a year-long blood feud, and it was a great blow-off.
Fantastic stuff. So we go from that to a Joey Ryan promo. Ponder that for a while. I love, by the way, that the gimmick is this guy wants to be a TNA wrestler with all his heart, but then he's afraid to fight Al Snow. What does he think TNA wrestlers do?
Well, he's supposed to be a coward.
I know he's a heel, but it's still funny. So, ironically, right as I started to zone out is when he said he had rock star charisma. So my basic review of this promo is this is a drama student who had spent all night practicing, memorizing his lines in the mirror, and forgot to or never learned how to sound believable or memorable. So we had Al Snow versus Joey Ryan. Al was tan, but apparently he sold his gear at some point at a convention or something because he was wrestling in track pants and a tank top. Actually, his gear looked like Vince's gear. So Taz starts making jokes about how old Al is, and then Al beats the fuck out of Joey Ryan like he is a fan or something. So we went from the blood feud, year-long finish to a Al Snow squash match. Bad. He goes to get head from under the ring. The ref cuts him off.
Oh, really?
You know, I didn't even think about that when I said it, but yeah. It's been a while since we've gotten to go through these jokes. So Ryan tries to go over like the baseball slide drop kick, and Snow pulls out the apron, and Ryan gets stuck. And Ryan is acting like he is literally trapped. Like he is tied up and bound. His arms are pinned at his sides, and he can't move. That's fucking stupid. So Al goes to get head again, and Matt Morgan appears and kicks him in the face. Which is a sad sentence when you think about it. I love, by the way, that Morgan, I think he got new tattoos in his arms, but the big, giant, scary face in his back still looks about maybe half finished. So, anyway, he threw Snow into the ring. Ryan pinned him. Joey Ryan is a TNA wrestler now. Woo-hoo. We had a Kaz and Daniels interview. I couldn't do it justice. It was awesome. These men must be a heel team on every show until the end of time. Had the match. Kaz and Daniels versus AJ and Kurt versus Chavo and Hernandez. Wasn't much until Kurt got a hot tag and ran wild and killed everyone. I have mentioned this before, but nobody takes a German suplex like Frankie Kazarian. Awesome. Everyone started hitting dives, including Hernandez hitting a dive onto Chris Daniels by himself, which was scary. And it came down to AJ and the champs in the ring, and they hit the BME, but AJ kicked out. And then at a completely random point, Hernandez hit a border toss on Daniels, and Chavo hit a frog splash, and Hernandez covered him for the pin. So, Chavo and Hernandez are the new tag champs. I am fine with this because I assume they're just going to feud with the Kaz and Daniels for the next several months. That's fine. And Chavo cut a promo. He got in a Viva La Raza, and it didn't even occur to me for a while, but he mentioned this is for Eddie, which is pretty standard Chavo stuff. Then I realized they're in Phoenix. So, yeah. Match was it was not much until they started hitting all the dives at the end. And then by the end, it kind of had tapered back off. Had Tara and Tessmacher. They introduced the lowest rent celebrities on any show ever. 4 English people I've never heard of, and a Phoenix radio person. Also never heard of.
I don't think the four weren't supposed to be celebrities. They're imagine like
some British reality show.
Yeah, a TNA reality show. It's like UK gut check.
I see.
So it would be Alex Silva and the redheaded girl. That's essentially what it was if they were all in the front row at a show in England.
So, and then also they did this. Well, they show these people I don't know, and then when they started wrestling, Tessmacher's robe was still draped over the ropes right in front of the hard camera. A very rinky-dink company, TNA still is. Very short match. Tessmacher is still improving. She hit a diving Rana off the top rope, and she missed a top rope elbow, and Tara hit the Widow's Peak for the win. And if I missed anything of note, well, I didn't. I missed nothing of note. So Tara won. She's the new champion. Crowd was into that. And she brought out her Hollywood boyfriend. It was somebody named Jesse from something called Big Brother.
Mr. Pectacular!
Yep. The guy is put together. He looks good on television. Crowd was chanting, "Who are you?" They made out a lot. That was it. We saw clips of Sting's Hall of Fame induction. Lex Luger was there. It's good to see Lex doing well. He's been through some... Lord knows he's been through some hard times.
My favorite story of the year is still that Ric Flair desperately wants to go to WWE, but he can't because TNA is suing WWE. And in the midst of this lawsuit over Ric Flair, preventing Ric Flair from going where he wants to go, they asked him if he'd come here and be at Sting's induction. I mean, just can you imagine? I mean, it's like...
I did not know this.
I can't even... It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Do you think it's more a case of giant balls or a complete lack of having a clue?
The latter, of course.
All right, let's check in. So the highlight of this for me was when Hulk Hogan is talking about what a great guy Sting is and how much he admires as a man, because he likes Sting because you always know that Sting is going to be honest. Because this is a trait that Hulk Hogan admires.
Yeah.
Honesty is very important to Hulk Hogan.
It's the best policy.
The other great part about this is that, when they show the WWE Hall of Fame clips, it's always like trumpets playing and fanfare and triumph and glorious music. They have like a funeral home piano tune playing Sting's Hall of Fame ceremony. So we had Sting and Bully Ray versus the Aces and Eights. They tried to do a big dramatic reveal of Bully turning around and showing that he had face paint on, but all the cameramen and directors missed it because no one in this company ever has any idea what anyone else is doing. The Aces and Eights, which was very clearly Mike Knox and Luke Gallows because they were huge, they dragged Joe Park down to ringside and handcuffed him to a guardrail.
I wish Mike Knox would do the Knox.
Just
once.
And then wink.
Yeah. Just for you.
Yeah. So they're brawling all over ringside. The announcers are calling it like every other match. And then you hear TNA whisper, "Ow." And Taz says, "Sorry." And I have no idea what happened, but it was funny. Settled down into a tag match. They got the heat on Sting to tease a Horseman beat down, but then Ray got in and he just beat up the Aces and Eights. Made a hell of a comeback, actually.
Bully Ray is great at everything he does.
Essentially, yes.
Great babyface,
yes.
Great heel,
yes.
Great singles wrestler, great tag team wrestler.
Great promo.
Great promo.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from talking to people in TNA, absolutely brilliant mind for wrestling.
And apparently
that's why I keep putting him over.
And apparently a pretty good trainer as well.
Yeah, great trainer.
Yes.
Nothing this man cannot do.
Pretty much. So the short blonde Aces and Eights guy ran out. He attacked Sting and Ray. He spat at Joe Park. Now, Joe Park has been held captive for months.
Weeks.
Perhaps his weeks. A long time he's been in their bar or cave or den or lair or whatever the hell it is. And he's been powerless to do anything about it. And here, a small blonde man spits at him, and suddenly he can break his handcuffs.
Yeah.
All right. He breaks the handcuffs. He attacks the short blonde guy. They brawl to the back. So it's down to the original four again. And then another mystery Aces and Eights guy comes in. There's literally no skin exposed, which should have been a clue. He puts Ray through a table, and the Aces and Eights pin him, so they now have access to TNA all they want. All the Aces and Eights hit the ring. They're beaten up.
So does that mean that Dixie gave him a key?
I assume a key. I assume premium parking spots.
This would be a great...
Perhaps...
that'd be a vignette. Dixie takes Aces and Eights to Fred Meyer to make a new set of keys for everybody.
Yeah. Perhaps they get to cut in line at catering.
Yeah.
Yeah. First in line for showers, all that stuff. So they're all in the ring beating up Sting and Ray. Hogan's music plays. He limps out to make the save. He is coming down the aisle, I like the Mummy, I guess is the best I can do. Just dragging one foot, like Horace Pinker from Shocker. Just dragging one foot behind him. And I just had a sudden... I made a movie, it wasn't with you. I think a high school movie, this thing very much like this. The Aces and Eights all attack them one at a time. They throw one punch, he blocks it, the guy bumps, and then the next guy runs in.
Yeah.
It was like a bad wrestling skit on a sketch comedy show, which we say many times in TNA. He takes them all out single-handedly, this one-legged, immobile man.
There's something about the gimmick of the old guy that everybody runs at one at a time. They throw the lightest punch imaginable. He blocks it. He puts his fist on their head, and they fly 50 feet.
Yeah.
It'll never get old for me. It absolutely sucks.
In a comedy way?
Yes.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
It's just always entertaining to me. Like, look at you guys.
Yes. This needs circus music.
The self-control to run as fast as you can and then put on the brakes and swing in such a manner that you don't tip Hulk Hogan over.
Yes.
And then he hits you and you go flying in the opposite direction.
Right.
And you all make sure that you only go one at a time and get out of each other's way.
And none of you learn.
Yeah.
No, not even I'll throw a punch with my left hand. No. We will all throw punches with our right hand.
That's what pro wrestling is all about.
To a point, you're right, actually. But, yeah, and the crowd loved it. So he made his way down to the ring. It was down to Hogan, Sting, Ray, and the Masked Man. They go for the big reveal. Sting's got the man's arms behind his back. Hogan has his hand on his head. He's looking at the crowd, which, as you know, he invented. The crowd's going crazy. Take the mask off, take the mask off. This whole time, the Masked Man's back is to the hard camera. I'm not making this up. This seems incredibly simple to me. How they screwed this up, I don't know, but they did. So Hogan tears the mask off, and we get a reaction shot, and several seconds later, they get a camera on his face, and of course, as you all know by now, it is Devon.
Mm-hmm.
And the baby faces are so heartbroken and shocked and appalled and mystified, they can just stare slack-jawed at him, and he leaves with his new gang members. They're all happy, and they all bail, and the faces all stare. They're saying things like, why? Why, Devon, why? And Ray is staring at him like he's about to cry. I don't remember this, but I'm almost positive that Bully Ray was the one who broke up the team in the first place. Wasn't he?
So, yes.
So, yeah. Crowd chants, this is awkward. That really happened. And that was the big reveal. In hindsight, actually, it's a damn good thing this did not go on last.
Yeah.
What did go on last was obviously Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy. This is fascinating. Phoenix does not like Jeff Hardy.
No.
He got the John Cena reaction here.
They had a fan fest on Saturday, and he was booed there as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Why would
they like Austin Aries?
I guess so.
And why wouldn't they if you watch this match?
He's great, but yeah. So most of the heat was the mixed reaction for Hardy, and then eventually the "Let's go Aries, let's go Hardy" chants. I think Dave said this was the best match in the show. Could be wrong on that, but he seemed to like it a lot more than I did. I thought it was a pretty good pay-per-view main event. I thought Storm and Rude was a much better match. So the Aries hits his tope twice, actually. Comes up bleeding, which means he smashed his head into the guardrail. That sucks. And they did a bunch of spots on the ramp. They had a ramp going down to the ring that was actually about 6 inches higher than the ring itself. So Aries, it's kind of hard to explain, but he hit a neck breaker so that Jeff landed in the ring, but his head was on the ramp. That looked brutal. Aries hit a Hurricane Rana when both men were standing on the top rope, which was ridiculous. And he followed that with a corner dropkick in the Brainbuster. Everyone thought it was the finish, but Jeff kicked out. And shortly thereafter, he hit the Twist of Fate and the senton for the clean win. He is the new champion. And that was how the show ended. So that was the pay-per-view. I
really did like that match. I thought Jeff was great. I thought Aries was great. Aries really pushed Jeff to work. And yeah, I thought the whole thing was very, very good. The sad thing was this was the best. This was like Austin Aries did his very best as champion, and they beat him. Yeah. Well, no, when the match with Rude where he won was better. That was a good one, too. Yeah. But I will also say that at the time this match ended, I had watched 8 hours of wrestling in a span of about 10 hours. Yeah. So I may have just been burned out. I may have gone into this with a closed mind. Hi, go for it.
First things first, aces and eights. They raised a toast and brought out Devon Dudley. Fans chanted, "You sold out." Devon thanked them and alluded to a leader who patched him in. That's right. He said Bubba got what he deserved. He called him Bubba. This brought out all of the TNA roster, and they brawled, and they brawled, and they brawled.
Good start today, Craig.
And then they brawled some more. Hogan then came out with a bat and basically said if they were going to be in TNA, they had to fight. So Sting challenged Devon to a fight later on.
You're missing a very important key here to why this whole thing sucked.
Well, I'm ill.
So Devon's out there, and Hogan and Sting and Bubba and everybody. And Sting says, I want Devon. And Devon says, no! And Hogan says, Devon, you take this match, or you have to leave and never come back. And I was like, really? We spent all that time building up that these guys were trying to get in, and Hogan finally locked them out, which appeared to largely work. And then, because they stole Joseph Park, we agreed to a match where if they won, they had free run of the place. And now, Hogan can just kick the dude out again if he doesn't accept a match. This made absolutely, positively, absolutely zero sense. They could have just had Sting challenge Devon, and Devon said yes. And it would have solved all of these problems.
True.
Maybe Hogan went into business for himself, which is always possible. And he threw that line in about how you either accept the match or you're gone for good. But my God, was that a stupid line. That, killed the entire storyline.
Well, he does tend to go off script, so...
Why doesn't Hogan just kick all of them out then?
That's a great question. Speaking of Hogan, he met with Mr. Anderson. They were going back and forth.
This was also awesome.
He said he was going to be in a three-way for a shot at the title next week.
He said, Mr. Anderson, you weren't even on Bound for Glory, but you've been doing so great lately that I'm going to give you a shot at the title. Or at least a shot at the title.
Joseph Park busted in the room, said he had something important to say, and Hogan kicked out the cameraman and Mr. Anderson. That's what happened.
That's what happened, yeah.
First matchup, we had Joe versus Robbie E. Of course, Robbie E escorted to the ring by Robbie T. Joe kicked this man's butt.
He beat him up.
He got a little bit of offense, and Joe wiped him out with... Robbie T tried to interfere at one point. Joe then wiped him out with a dive and hit the muscle buster on Robbie E, slapped on the Koji clutch, and he tapped out. Robbie T jumped in for good measure, and so Joe put him in the Koji clutch as well.
That's right. You sound like you're about to vomit.
I'm fine.
All right.
Jesse Goddard was working out with Tara, and when I say he was working out with Tara, he was actually doing presses over his head with said Tara.
I love this because, there's that part of it that looked really impressive, he's shoulder pressing a woman, but then you realize that she probably weighs about 135 pounds.
Right.
So she's a bar with a 45 on each side, which isn't that impressive.
Right.
If you're the size of Jesse Goddard's.
They mentioned some Hollywood gossip, and then they made out.
They sure did.
This led to Tara versus ODB. ODB was distracted and on the phone with Eric the whole match. Well, most of the match. The finish came. ODB bumped the two together, spat whiskey in Goddard's face, and hit the TKO on Tara for the pin.
This was stupid.
ODB's a handsome woman.
What?
No, she's handsome. It's a put down.
I see. Yeah. I was confused by the fact that next week it is Brooke against Tara. So to set this up, ODB pinned Tara.
Makes sense to me.
Shouldn't ODB get the shot?
Makes sense to me.
Or a shot? I suspect they'll forget in 2 weeks, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But this didn't make sense on the surface.
Angle met with AJ, said he was going to...
And by the way, one more thing.
I'm sorry.
I hate to interrupt. So they go to all the trouble of bringing in Jesse Goddard as the big secret Hollywood boyfriend of Tara. And then, in his first appearance with her, the two of them bonk into each other and she gets pinned. Couldn't you, try and get the guy over for a while? You know what I mean? Have him help her win a lot because you just debuted the guy, as opposed to you just do the big reveal and on the very first show he's treated like an idiot. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard.
Angle met with AJ, said he was going to be in a three-way for a shot at the title. Enough said about that. Gunner and Kid Cash faced Hernandez and Chavo. Really not a whole lot to this match. Chavo was double teamed by Hernandez and Kid Cash. Chavo came back, hit an enziguri. Hernandez ran wild, hit the pounce, and Chavo hit a crossbody from the top to pin Kid Cash.
This is fine. Nothing special.
Exactly.
It was a match. It was a tag team battle.
Joe Park asked for one of the aces and eights tonight. This, of course, the cameraman was kicked out of the room, but he was still able to film through the window there.
They throw him out of the room, but they leave the windows and doors open, you know.
Bully interrupted and said he wanted Sting's spot against Devon. Hulk said he was putting Bully in the four-way for the title match next week.
Mm-hmm. Bully said, "You better start trusting me."
He did.
He's turning for sure.
I would imagine. We had a celebration for the new heavyweight champion, that being Jeff Hardy. He had a new old belt. It was the old belt with Jeff's face on it, minus the purple, I guess you could say.
This looked less like the Divas title. It looked more like a world title, kind of.
There was fireworks. There was confetti. There was Austin Aries, who came out with cookies and balloons, singing Celebration.
I think this was like I don't know for sure, but I think it was like a takeoff of the time that the TNA guys, like Abyss and those guys, brought cookies to that WWE deal down in Orlando. Remember they brought balloons and cookies?
I see, yeah.
I think that's what this was, but could be wrong. If it was, literally nobody except me and Dave and 5 other people got it.
Jeff Hardy swatted the cookies out of Aries' hand, made the fans upset because they were just chanting, "We want cookies."
I don't eat cookies, Jeff said.
That's right. He said he could invoke his rematch clause at any time, but he was going to pick his spot. Austin grabbed his belt, said it was a shiny, nice belt, but then he spat on it. And then Hardy attacked him and went for the twist of fate. Yeah. Went for his move, and Aries bailed. You have nothing to add?
No.
AJ versus Kurt versus Daniels. For whatever reason, Daniels had the word rebel written on his chest.
I'm not sure if it was a tattoo or the word.
Not sure either.
I had him on the show like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about his tattoo, his ankh. And I noted that for the longest time, I thought he drew it on before every match. And he said, "Nope, it's a tattoo." And apparently, when he has no tattoos, and for some reason he decided to get this tattoo when he was younger. And he went into the tattoo shop with a picture of an ankh, and the guy drew an ankh the size of his entire torso. And he goes, "That's too big," and so he got the really little one. So I find it hard to believe that he got another tattoo after we just had that conversation. And he admitted that was his only tattoo, and it took place a long time ago. But maybe it was.
Kazarian wasn't there, and Taz said he had travel issues. This led to this three-way match, and the match was absolutely spectacular, and the crowd sat on their hands the entire match.
This crowd sucked.
Good stuff with AJ and Kurt. Daniels took over at one point, posting Kurt's shoulder, hitting an STO on AJ. Daniels took AJ out. AJ hit a... I'm sorry, I'm losing track, and the sweat is now getting into my eyes.
That's disgusting.
I'm sorry.
The gist of it, everybody, is that what he said happened. I would like to add. AJ hit a huge springboard moonsault to the outside on Daniels as they were both getting back in the ring. Kurt pushed AJ into Daniels, or Daniels into AJ. AJ took a spill, which was ridiculous. He almost landed on his head on the outside, and then hit the angle slam on Daniels for the pin. I think that this crowd, they're completely hit and miss. Some days are awesome. Some days they just suck. I think part of it, which is actually part of my conclusion for this show in general, is has there ever been a follow-up show in the last decade to a WrestleMania-style show that was as nothing happening as this one. I think the thread on our board is the impact is absolutely nothing happened on this show thread. Let me find it here. Yep. 1018 impact thread. A show where nothing happened. That is largely exactly what happened. This was the first impact after their version of WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, and nothing happened on this show. So I guess I can understand why the fans were half asleep during this match, but it was a very good match.
Joey Ryan introduced himself to Hulk Hogan. He was flanked by Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan...
this was awesome.
Go ahead.
Joey Ryan shows up, and Hogan, puts him over as, hey, man, great to have you here, blah, blah, blah. And then he turns to Matt Morgan, and Matt Morgan, keep in mind, is the entire reason that Joey Ryan is there. So after putting over Joey Ryan and saying, do your best and we'll make some money together, blah, 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 then he turns to Morgan and he's angry. How dare you run in during the pay-per-view, brother? You just praised the guy that he is responsible for getting a contract for. This made no sense. You live over there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So then Hogan essentially told Morgan, this was also stupid. He's like, we give you the ball, and you run with it on a promo, and then you drop the ball on the promo the next week. And it's like, drop the ball on the promo? What the hell does that mean, if this were real? That makes no sense. What it means is the show's fake, and he's supposed to read a script, and 1 week he does it good, and 1 week he does it bad. How do you drop the ball on a promo if this is real? It's back to this shoot bullshit that we saw with Austin Aries on the last show. But he basically told Morgan, we all think you suck. And Morgan promised he was going to shove that viewpoint up Hulk Hogan's ass, he said. And then after they left, Hogan went, brother. Because he lit a fire under Morgan was the storyline.
We had James Storm coming out. He cut a promo, talked about the match with Rude. I actually saw this match from the pay-per-view, and what a war it was.
That was a great match.
Rude came out limping. He put Storm over, put the pay-per-view match over. He said he was the better man even still. Storm laid him out with a punch.
Super kick.
Oh, my bad. Super kick. This led to the main event. Devon versus Sting.
This.
Yeah.
Listen, I like Devon. I think he got some pretty good promos. But this was like the biggest shot of his career almost. Deacon, was it Reverend Devon?
Yeah.
I guess that was kind of a shot for him. But I think it was more a way to try and get Big Dave over for his debut, which, astonishingly, if you saw Deacon Dave. And then he had kind of a run here and there in TNA. But, I mean, Devon was revealed as an integral part of Aces and Eights on the biggest show of the year for TNA. And he's the only guy that has been revealed as a real guy. And this was his first match as basically a top guy for TNA. And boy, was this match nothing. This was a by the numbers, babyface versus heel, nothing happening, nothing special match. And I don't know if maybe it was just Sting was the wrong opponent. I don't know if maybe there should have been somebody that Devon could just go in and destroy. I don't know what they should have done, but what they did not work at all. I mean, when this was over, I was kind of excited. I wasn't excited. It's the wrong word. When Devon was the big reveal, I think a lot of people hated it more than I did. I thought that he did the reveal. It made sense in storyline, kind of. Bully Ray was very upset about it. His facials were awesome when it was revealed as Devon, which also didn't really make sense in storyline, but just bear with me here. I was fine with it. I was like, all right, let's see where it goes. This was like the big chance for Devon to step up as a main eventer, and boy, oh boy, was this nothing. This was nothing. It wasn't like a bad match or anything like that, but it was like nothing special. And this needed to be a special match. They needed to do something special with Devon. And he just had a match with Sting. Sting put him in his move, and all the dudes ran in, and then Hogan came out and ran him off with help from Bully. I mean,
Bully came out with a bat and ran everybody off, and the show faded to black.
I was just astonished with this show. Like, normally the Impact after Bound for Glory is like one of the highest rated Impacts of the entire year. And I don't think this is going to be for a lot of reasons. Competition, that sort of thing. But, man, this show was just such a bust. This was your big follow-up to Bound for Glory. It was like just a show. It's just a show. So, very disappointing.
Very
disappointing.
Largely disappointing.
So, Craig.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
About the same.
Is that better or worse?
About the same.
Is that good or bad?
I think it's kind of bad.
Are you going to make it home?
I'm worried.
What do you think? You're going to fall asleep at the wheel?
I don't know.
Are you going to stay here?
It's hard to say. No.
Oh.
I can't stay here.
Well, you're welcome to.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Let's just have this conversation on air for everybody to hear.
Sure.
Would you like to send a special message to anybody? Would you like to do some plugs, Craig?
Only because I have to.
Let's see if you can do a worse plug than Todd Martin every week.
You can check out Over the Top Radio tomorrow. It's live, 6 p.m. Seattle time, 9 p.m. New York time. You can figure it out. Brutal Bob Evans is going to be on the show tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, love Brutal Bob. And that's pretty much it. You can check out... I'm actually on Twitter now. Check me out at...
I saw that. 3 guesses his Twitter handle, everybody.
It's my last name.
Proper Jam.
Proper Jam.
As in Pearl Jam.
Sure. And...
oh, what do you mean, sure?
Sure.
The jam is like for strawberry jelly?
Stop it.
It's Pearl Jam.
Well...
Craig, I've never met anyone in my life who is a bigger fan of anything than you are of Pearl Jam. Literally.
Did I tell you I went and saw him in Missoula, Montana about 2 weeks ago?
Oh, my God.
That was great.
This is like you need to go to Pearl Jam rehab.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dangerous road to go down, Craig.
I disagree.
Don't make me go to the religious aspects of this idol worship. Got you there.
End the show.
I got you there.
I need a towel off.
So who's doing Impact, me or you?
It don't matter.
Why don't you start it, and I'll go up on the front page, and I will edit the headline so that the word Impact is, in fact, spelled correctly.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I actually am reading off of Jeff Hamlin's notes here from the front page. So
We're very professional here on this site.
Thank you, Jeff. The show started with a new announcer.
2 new announcers, basically.
We had JB, and what was the other fellow's name?
Todd Kennelly.
You ever find anything else about him?
I don't know what the deal is with this. I think they just wanted something new and wacky.
So we got 2 new announcers in the first hour, and then the Taz and the other fellow.
Mike Tenay, Craig.
Thank you. I'm drawing a blank on his name. So we had a weird skit backstage. Hulk Hogan had the 4 contestants for the championship match tonight in his office, along with Jeff Hardy. He thanked Jeff Hardy for being a great champion and bringing Bound to Glory to another level. Then something weird happened. Hardy exited the room, and as he walked by each of the contestants for tonight, you could hear what he was thinking. He would walk by James Storm, and you could hear his thoughts about what he thought of James Storm.
Yeah, we were reading Jeff Hardy's mind. Keep in mind, after the screen had been frozen for a moment.
Right. So it was all in slow motion, and he'd walk by each of competitor, and he would think something about that man. It was wacky. Let me see. Borash handled the commentary again, as I said, and we came to... I'm sorry, I'm reading...
Rob Van Dam and Zema Ion.
Thank you. Rob Van Dam and Zema Ion for the X Division title. This was a pretty good match. Nothing spectacular. There was a pretty cool gorilla press spot where Van Dam gorilla pressed Zema Ion high over his head and then hit him with a standing moonsault, except he didn't hit him with this moonsault. He missed by about a foot.
I thought it was a pretty good match. I can't compare it to the pay-per-view because, in fact, I did not see the pay-per-view match,
right.
thanks to... By the way, I still haven't called Frontier to have them remove one of the pay-per-views that I was double charged for.
Maybe you should make a note on your notepad right
Well,
there.
I'm still angry about the fact that they told me I had to call them because the office was closed on Sunday night during a pay-per-view.
I'm just shocked that the office is actually closed.
I'm shocked from dealing with these people that they have an office. Yes, the office is closed, Craig. It is not 24-hour customer service.
Why?
Because it's Frontier.
Well, do like I told you months and months ago, get DirecTV.
Craig, it's put together by the same people that do DirecTV.
Really? How come I never have a problem?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, the match was fine. Van Dam won with the 5-star frog splash. And afterwards, Morgan and...
Joey Ryan. Craig.
Thank you. I'm looking for the name. Joey Ryan hit the ring. And they put a beating on Van Dam. And Joey Ryan grabbed the title. And I'm guessing that's where they're going next.
That's fine.
That's fine. So Morgan is Ryan's heavy. He needs a heavy.
His heavy, yes.
Yeah, he needs a heavy. Okay. Austin Aries outside Hogan's office. He was eavesdropping on the conversation, making fun of each man as they made their case to get the championship shot tonight. Then had Christopher Daniels and Kazarian coming out to the ring and made more jokes about Hogan's movie career. There was a lot of this tonight. Said they earned a shot at the tag team titles, but basically the Dixie Carter wanted to cater to the Latino fans, and this brought out Hernandez and Chavo. The babyfaces attacked the former champions and sent them packing.
A lot of references to Hogan movies on this, and I have not quite figured out why. I don't know if somebody all of a sudden went on Netflix and there was a bunch of Hogan films and they watched them, but we had, count them, 2 references to Mr. Nanny in different segments, Suburban Commando as well. Maybe that was actually the only 2 that anybody watched. But
I'm glad they only found those 2 movies, because I hear there's another movie online that you should stay away from.
Maybe that's what the references here were. They wanted everyone to Google Hulk Hogan movies, and that would... actually, let me see if that comes up first. I bet it does. Hulk Hogan movies.
That's frightening.
No, amazingly not. There's actually... first is Hulk Hogan's IMDb, then his Wikipedia, and then, amazingly, Hulk Hogan movies from Blockbuster, which I thought was out of business.
They still have an online presence, I think.
Nowhere on the front page. Oh, no. I was wrong. On the front page. Hulk Hogan sex taped, by the way, not tape. Hulk Hogan sex taped, leaked online. It's from the Marin Independent. Whatever that is.
Devon met with...
Contra Costa Times. How about that? Oh, my God. Let me read this article.
Sure thing.
First off, I got to find out where is this at? Let me do some investigation here.
This is great radio.
Is this, so Marin County, California? Is that, it must be. That must be the Marin that is referenced here. It does say the Marin Independent Journal, and the weather is from Novato, California, so I presume this is the newspaper for Marin County, California, which appears to be in California somewhere.
It's great detective work, Brian.
Yeah. Near San Francisco. San Francisco Bay Area. I'm going to read this because it's baffling that this article was written. Hogan sex tape leaked online. This is by a man named Randy. A long-rumored sex tape featured pro wrestling icon and pulp culture fixture Hulk Hogan has surfaced online. Lucky us! The website Gawker posted the clip after saying it received a copy from an anonymous source. According to the site, the 1.5-minute segment is edited down from a 30-minute recording and shows Hogan about to put some non-wrestling moves on an unidentified brunette. Before things get hot and heavy, it says, the ex-grappler's cell phone goes off. The ringtone is daughter Brooke Hogan's song About Us, it adds, and then says, and I quote, ew. E-W-W-W. Hulk decides not to answer, and a brief montage of X-rated activity ensues. This is a real article in a real journal, everybody.
A brief montage.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on with our report here.
Devon had a meeting with the Aces and Eights. Basically, they picked an opponent for tonight by throwing darts at a board. I thought that was interesting. The way they pick the guy they're going to kill, they throw darts at a board.
Sure. Why not?
Samoa Joe defeated Robbie T. Robbie T looks like a...
Did we even discuss the Aries, Mr. Anderson violence?
We totally missed that. Excuse me.
That might be an important thing to discuss since it was the funniest thing on the entire show.
I totally missed that. As Aries was outside Hogan's office listening, and this is back 2 segments, by the way, Anderson was booted. He is not to receive the championship shot. He comes out and gets in Aries' face. Vice versa. They can said he's the bigger a-hole. No, I'm the bigger a-hole. What a ridiculous fight this was. And then,
especially since they were saying a-hole.
Well, they weren't saying it, but
Craig's
I don't curse. Leave me alone. So anyway, Anderson grabs a framed picture off the wall, hits Aries with it.
It's a poster, by the way, everybody.
Well,
he hits it with a poster, and Austin Aries takes a bump.
There was a frame on the floor.
A plastic frame!
It still could hurt. Anyway, so a fight ensues, and as they get done brawling with each other, I'll see you in the ring. Okay, great. You hear the director yell, cut! End scene.
Cut! The best thing was they didn't cut.
No. It was still on there for like 2 more seconds. And then the screen flipped to the inside of of Hogan's dressing room for a moment. So, nice job, Lagana.
I was just laughing that they had this giant brawl out in the hallway, and like nobody heard it in the room. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I hear my cats meowing outside my door to get eaten. So if there's a fight out there, I'm pretty sure I would be alerted to this fact. Yes.
Anyway, as I said, Samoa Joe defeated Robbie T. About a 2-minute match. Robbie T looks like an He-Man action figure from my youth.
There's one thing I love about Samoa Joe. The story here was that he kept going for his choke, and Robbie E kept fighting out, but Joe absolutely would not give up, and he finally got it on and tapped him. The only thing I don't like about this, it might be a nitpick, maybe it's not, is Joe must be really bad at his own choke, because these guys stay in this choke forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I understand guys trying to fight out of the dude's hold, but I don't know. If you're really good at this choke, the guy should have like 5 seconds to escape or he's done for.
Tonight's choke was pretty epic, as Joe had him in the clutch. Robbie T falls back and breaks up the hold.
Yeah, Joe leaped on his back, like piggyback.
Right.
Standing. Looked like he nearly blew out poor Robbie T's knee, by the way. You could see his knee buckle. So Robbie T does a Nestea plunge, backdrop, and crushes Joe. Joe lets go. And all of a sudden he rises from the sea and grabs the hold again, and this time Robbie T is forced to tap. I really liked the finish, but Joe got to tap these dudes out faster, in my opinion.
Agreed. They cut back to Hogan's office. He was still trying to figure out who to have in the championship match tonight. He eliminated Bully Ray because Bully Ray was not focused on that match. He was focused on Devon, which led to the Battle of the A-Holes, Austin Aries versus Mr. Anderson, in the weirdest match I have seen in months.
You don't watch much Impact.
This one...
This is Mr. Anderson of late, dude.
I saw Mr. Anderson. He has not had a haircut in a while. He's obviously put on quite a bit of weight. He has quit tanning.
Quit bleaching his hair.
Yeah, he has stopped caring.
He looks like a guy. Well, I don't know if he actually in real life has stopped caring, but he looks like a guy who has completely given up and is going through the motions. That's not good.
Right. And that could be said with any job. If you quit caring, find something else to do. Anyway, at some random point in this match, Anderson reaches into his trunks and pulls out a pair of knucks.
Yeah.
Just for no reason.
Right in front of the ref, he pulls them out and he starts looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
The ref confiscates them.
Right. Fast forward to the finish of this match, and we didn't go back and watch this, and I really wish we would have. The ref gets bumped. Aries goes down to find the knucks. Aries pulls the knucks out, but then the knucks are on the canvas. And what we didn't see was Aries reach into his own trunks, pull out another pair of knucks, and blast Mr. Anderson with them.
Yeah. So we're supposed to believe that both men completely independently of each other, just happened to think to bring brass knucks to the ring.
Is that what you got out of it?
Yeah. Aries went to get the knucks, and Anderson stopped him, so the knucks fell down, and Anderson picked him up, and so the ref said, wait a second, I thought I told you don't use these. And so as he's putting the knucks away, Aries gets his own knucks and knocks out Anderson and gets to pin. So he beat him at his own game. Again, they both completely independently of each other decided that they were going to bring brass knuckles to the ring for this match.
But we only saw the one set of brass knucks.
No, they were on Aries' hand.
Okay.
He hit him and then put him away.
Okay. I must have missed that because
yes.
I think the cameraman did as well. Anyway, he knocked him out and won the match.
Well, what he did was he clobbers him, and Anderson doesn't take a bump. He just stands there.
Stood there.
So Aries pulls him down on top of him and then kicks out, and then puts his body in a last chancery, and
right.
Ref stops it. So they had to make this overly complicated. That's the gist of it. They overthought this match.
Tara and her meathead boyfriend had a meeting with Brooke. Tara said OBDB was still mad and should be coming in next week.
I find Jesse Goddard's significantly more likable than Brooke Hogan on this show.
Wow. I wouldn't go that far, but...
Brooke's character is bitchy 100% of the time. Sarcastically bitchy. And sometimes I don't even understand why she's being so bitchy. Mm-hmm. And she's being bitchier than the heels.
But let's be honest, if you looked up douchebag in the dictionary, you would find a picture of Jesse.
Well, that's his character, Craig.
But shouldn't he be with Robbie T and Robbie E then?
No, he's Tara's Hollywood boyfriend.
Okay.
I couldn't even figure out why Tara was so upset in this segment, seeing as how she was about to get a match for the championship. Oh, I guess she was the champion. Never mind.
Right.
I forgot she won the belt.
Well.
I was wrong.
Yeah, it's happened a couple times since we started this show. Anyway, this led to Tara defeating Mrs. Tessmacher. This was nothing to this match. I don't know why, but Jesse Goddard's actually pulled the ropes down, causing Miss Tessmacher to crash and burn on the floor. That was a douche move. I didn't think the men were supposed to be involved in the women's things. Anyway, he throws her back in the ring, and Tara hit the Widow's Peak for the win.
Then we had Brooke come out and announced that ODB had called and she wanted an open fight night challenge, but not versus Tara, versus Jesse.
That's going to be some TV, isn't it?
This also was Brooke. I'm sure she's a nice girl. Mm-hmm. She was the only normal girl when they did Hogan Knows Best. She was the only normal person on the entire show. She always came off well on that show, but god damn does she never come off well on this show. She came out here and was, again, so bitchy. And I was like, if this was real, shouldn't you be mad at the goddamn referee that you hired, Tiffany, who it was her fault that the finish went down the way the finish went down? So, what's your problem? Why taking this out on Tara? I realize, obviously, that Tara and Jesse were responsible, but still, your referee's incompetent. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and she's been
Her character is extremely unlikable. Every single time she's on television. If she were, like, nice and friendly and baby-facey, like, 95% of the time, and then 5% of the time she got mad and bitchy, it'd be one thing. But she's bitchy every last single solitary moment she's on the show.
She's very unlikable.
And terrible actress.
This is true. Joseph Parks bursted into Hulk's office. Basically said he wanted a match with one of Aces and Eights, and gave Hogan paperwork that said basically that TNA and Hogan were not responsible for anything that happened to Joseph Park when he was abducted. I miss anything?
If they're held harmless if anything happens in a match.
That's fair.
Yeah.
When we had the best thing on the show, Bully Ray was in the ring. The Aces and Eights came out with Devon, and Bully Ray cut the best promo I have heard in weeks, talking about him and Devon and how they worked in WWE and ECW, and talked about the first time Sabin kicked out of their finisher, and how Devon couldn't care less. He said, screw the fans. This promo was money.
I thought Devon was awesome. Bully was great, but Devon was also excellent. A great heel. Very excited for this particular feud. They're doing an open fight night deal next week, and if Devon doesn't win, they're out of their minds. Devon's got to win this first match. So
that would make sense.
I thought both guys were great. Absolutely great in this segment.
We had Joey Ryan and Matt Morgan backstage, said the rules didn't apply to them. They teased a match with, of course, Rob Van Dam down the road. We got a promo for next week's Gut Check. It is one Christian York.
Christian York, everybody.
How old is this man?
35.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have guessed him older. So anyway,
he's been around forever.
Yes, he has. Since the old ECW days. Hogan gave Angle the title shot. Storm was despondent, I guess.
He was unhappy. But Hogan said, don't worry. Come with me. I've got big plans for you.
That's right. And then we had the best match of the evening. Easily, Jeff Hardy defeated Kurt Angle to retain the TNA Heavyweight Championship match. Really good match.
I thought this match was awesome. Shocking. Kurt Angle, an awesome 14-minute match.
Yeah, go figure. Jeff Hardy, I don't know if he must have had a death wish this evening. He was taking silly bumps, landing on his shoulder to the outside of the ring at one point.
It was silly, but you know what? I've said this a million times. I realize that there's the mindset that save your shit for pay-per-view, but let's be honest here. If these guys had a match on pay-per-view, 8,000 people would watch it. If they have a match on Impact, then on a bad day, 1.4 million people are going to watch it. So if you're going to kill yourself in a match with Kurt Angle, you may as well do it on Impact in the main event.
That's fair.
I mean, who goes out and buys TNA DVDs after the pay-per-view is over?
True.
I can't imagine anyone ever doing this.
Jeff positioned Angle in such a way that when he went to throw the swanton, he absolutely crushed this man. He was a good 12 feet away from him, 10 to 12, and just absolutely destroyed him with a swanton.
Listen, everyone. I'm not saying I'm Kurt Angle or Jeff Hardy or anything, but I wrestled for a long time, and this move was my finish. One of them. And Matt Farmer will attest to the fact that you don't want to get squashed by this move, even if the guy throwing it like me is 175 pounds or whatever I was at the time. If you're gonna take a senton, don't lay in the middle of the ring because you're too far away, and the guy is gonna land and crush you. I swear to God, when I was wrestling, if the senton was the finish, and granted, I was not wrestling guys like Kurt Angle or Jeff Hardy, but still, I would sit down on the ground, and I would draw a square, and I would say, this is the ring. This is the middle of the ring. This is the corner. I want you to lay right in the middle of the corner and the middle of the ring. So, not in the middle, not right in the corner, but between those 2 points. Lay there. And everybody that I ever wrestled in my entire life that laid in the right spot, I never touched them. Not a single hair on their head or their chest or wherever was misplaced when I did this move. But if you lay in the middle of the ring, then I don't know. It's like I always try to never touch anybody, but if somebody laid in the middle of the ring, especially after I drew the diagram, and I'm not much for math or angles or building things or drawing diagrams, but I drew a diagram for this after I squished Matt Farmer that one time. And I said, if you lay right here, I promise I will not touch you. But if you laid in the middle of the ring, there was nothing I could do. There's literally nothing I could do. I couldn't jump any farther because I just couldn't. And obviously I couldn't come up short, so you just got squished. And I don't know why all of these guys, when they're going to take this move, lay right dead center in the middle of the ring. You know what I mean? I'm just baffled. Absolutely baffled.
Just to back you up, you never, ever once touched me with a swanton. Never. Ever.
The only people I've had the one guy I think I ever squished was Matt Farmer because he laid right in the middle of the ring. So there you go. Angle takes his, he takes his twist of fate, and it's not like he takes a big bump and lands in the right spot. Nope. Lands right in the middle of the ring. And Jeff Hardy squashed him. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Angle came up spitting blood at this point. Angle threw Jeff back into the ring after he hit an Olympic slam and went for another Olympic slam. Jeff flipped it over, turned it into a sunset flip, and pinned him 1, 2, 3. It's a great match.
I thought it was awesome. And then Aries came out and laid out Hardy and took his gold belt, leaving Hardy with his Divas title. And he announced he was going to cash in his rematch. Apparently, Aries does not listen to this show, which also is evident if you ever heard the interview he did on this show about 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. He said that, in fact, he was not going to wrestle on television. He wanted his match on pay-per-view. Got to get those 8,000 people to pay for it. So that's where they're having their match on pay-per-view.
And that is at the next pay-per-view.
And then they had the big deal at the end where Aces and Eights jumped Kurt Angle backstage because he was the guy that the dart had hit. And they're all beating him up, and who should run in to make the save for him but his buddy Wes Brisco? And Craig's like, hey, I thought he was a long-haired guy. And we rewound it, and in fact, the long-haired guy was not among those in Aces and Eights when they jumped Kurt Angle. So
dun, dun.
If anyone paid attention to the angle, that may have been a little spoiler right there for everybody that pays close attention. So there you go.
Yeah, so a pretty good edition of Impact, all in all.
Mm-hmm.
Better than